What is going on, you guys? My name is CodyT503 and this is a Justine podcast coming to you guys on June 5th, 2024 for episode 97, where today we actually have a very, very special guest. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute honor to bring to you guys Malcolm Phlex.
Hello, hello. It's an honor and privilege to be here. I appreciate you for having me on.
Oh man, it is so cool to actually have you on. This has actually been something that I've been thinking about for a while now. So thank you so very much.
Yo, thank you.
All right, man. Well, let's just start out for maybe all of the people who maybe don't know you. Maybe introduce your name, where you're from, and how long you've been in pro wrestling.
I've been in pro wrestling for about 12 years, since '09. I am the Honorable Malcolm Phlex, or Malcolm Evans. Flex is another name for flexi if you're nasty. Um, so I started out in Washington State, went down to get some training down at West Coast Wrestling Connection, which is no longer around, down in Oregon, with the grappler Lynn Denton. And then went off and start training all over the place to hone my craft.
Yeah. Yeah. So wait, that's exactly where you started training, was the West Coast Wrestling Connection.
So my
So like,
break-in was with a guy named Dave Hollenbach. His name was Havoc, out of Washington State.
mhm.
And for about a year and a half, I trained with him. I learned the basics, learned how to protect myself. It was amazing because I learned some jujitsu there. I had a Muay Thai background, amateur wrestling background. So he learned how to. He taught me how to protect myself in the ring, inside and outside the ring. Go figure. And then I wanted to get some more training, so I went down to West Coast Wrestling Connection. I heard the grappler was down there after I attended a seminar at WCW down in Portland, and it was a Marty Jannetty seminar, and I think that there was a Davey Richards seminar a week prior. So I jumped into those because I had no idea about indies or anything really before meeting Dave. And so I thought this is what you had to do, is like go to the seminars to get training and everything, which is a thing that we do now. But you definitely want to get a good solid foundation at a credible school. So I thought that WC would be a great start there, because Lynn Denton, he was down in the Mid-South with Junkyard Dog and everything. So I was like, yeah, let me go learn from this guy. And so I went and did that, and here I am today. There's other places that I've gone. Like, I've done seminars all over the place with people. My most recent venture was out in New Zealand at the Fale Dojo for New Japan. So, and that was an experience in itself. Definitely sharpened the tools there, and I'm here and ready to get going.
Well, that's freaking awesome, man. Well, before we actually get into a little bit later, you actually going to New Zealand, I want to actually take you back to when you actually got into professional wrestling. Can you kind of take us through that time a little bit?
So I've wanted to wrestle. Well, not wrestle, but I got into wrestling back when I was 5 years old. I think it was WrestleMania 3, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, and I was like, "What is this? These two colossus going at it," and that's what sparked my interest. And I watched it all the way from there, in the Attitude Era, and I didn't even know anything about like the territories or anything, or the Indies for that matter. But it was Hulk Hogan that sparked my interest, and it was Dwayne the Rock Johnson that was like, "You know what? You can do this." And so I did all. I thought you had to like be an athlete to get in. I didn't know you can just come off the street, go to a school or anything. So I did all my things in the background. I did, the football, the amateur wrestling, ran track in college, also joined the military, to have a good solid foundation in the background. And so I think it was 2009, I had fallen off wrestling because I don't think I watched it for about 10 years because, I was out living life and everything. But it was always in the back of my mind, like, I can do this. With Dwayne's confidence, it was like, you know what? You definitely can do this. So he had come back, I think it was 2009 for WrestleMania. And I was geeking out. I was working security at a place, and I was telling a buddy about it. And my buddy was like, "Oh, I know a guy that's been in WWE and everything." So he introduced me to Dave Hollenbach. And so for about 2 months, I chased him around because if you're not serious about it, and I was letting him know that I was serious. So about 2 months, and we met. He showed me a couple things, and then we trained for, like I said, a year and a half earlier. And then something happened to where I was like, you know what, you need to go somewhere else to train. So I went down to WC, and I believe it was 2012. I went down there and started training there with Lynn Ditton, I think it's Eric Baden, Jeremy Blanchard. And that's where I got my foundation of pro wrestling. And then from there, it was Ricky Gibson took me underneath his wing and got me on the shows, like DOA and everything. And so from there, I was able to like try things out and go in there and win as many matches as I can. So that was the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So like what are like your most like inspirations as far as when you get into the ring? Do you have any favorite wrestlers that you kind of want to replicate as far as your character?
No, when we talk about character is the person, right? So I mean, I go in there and be me. As far as like mannerisms, not really. I mean, some people compare me to like Junkyard Dog when I first started, Ron Simmons. But my inspirations, like I said, the start was Hulk Hogan, and then Bret Hart was one of them, excellence of execution. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, of course, and then Taker. There was and of course Ric Flair. If I take from anybody, it's going to be Ric Flair. I mean, one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time. So if anybody, I would definitely emulate that if I had to. But like I said, I am me. I'm a human being. I try to be me and come out there and sizzle the crowd.
That is so awesome. So if you could kind of like explain to everybody who exactly is Malcolm Flex?
Who is Malcolm Flex? Malcolm Flex is a man or a human rather, who is all loving and spreading love in the ring, one body at a time. Tough love, that is. Definitely a fierce competitor when you get across the ring from him. You don't know what you're going to get. Definitely unpredictable because I definitely adjust to who I'm in the ring with. And I don't play any games. You come at me sideways, I'm going to come at you sideways. You come at me with the love that I'm coming to spread, then you're going to get that love and caring person. But it's going to be tough love when you stand across the ring from me because I'm going out there to win. We want the biggest purse, right? So that's the name of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's a question that I was like literally it just came up. Like, was there anybody that you have actually stood across the ring from where you felt like they could actually be a dominant figure against your character?
When you talk about character, I look at character as the person, right? I don't think I can be dominated by anyone. If we're talking about stature or anything of that nature, I don't fear any person at all. So when we talk about dominating, no. Like I said, I'm going to be a problem regardless, win or lose. They better have their A game, or what do they call it? S rank now, the kids call it. You better bring your S rank because I'm not laying down for you. So when we talk about dominate, no one whatsoever. I'm definitely going to adjust to who I need to adjust to based off of their skill level and my skill level. And they better bring it. That's all I get. That's all I got to say because I'm coming with it.
Yeah. So like have you ever like been in a situation where maybe somebody has brought up an idea in which you didn't agree with because it didn't go along with your character?
Once again, we're talking about character. If it didn't go against my character, we're in there and we're competing, right?
Yeah.
They're bringing what they can do in the ring, and I'm doing what I can do in the ring. There's nothing going to go like I'm trying to win. So period, point blank, like what is there to go against? I have to adjust in the ring accordingly based off of what they're doing and what I need to do in order to win the match. So, I mean, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, Absolutely. So I know that or I had seen that like you had gone to the NZ dojo for 3 months and kind of did like a training there. So how was that whole experience for you?
I was actually 6 months. I was out there for half the year. I was there from January to December. It was definitely an eye-opening trip. Uh, I was out there for 6 months to the business, and definitely the business side of things. You know, how to put yourself out there, how to watch film, how to execute things proficiently. So that was one of the biggest things, and just just how to communicate with bookers and promoters and everything. So that's the more business side of things. To get yourself out there, we touched on social media, because it is a marketing tool to do that. And so when I came back, like I said, I hit the ground running to start posting a little bit more, start engaging with people a little bit more. Um, the physicality is definitely not the hardest part about it. That's actually the easy part. It's all mindset, because mindset is everything. Mindset is life next to wrestling. Um, so I definitely had a different mindset going on coming back, because you had to get up in the morning, you had to make your bed, you had to go eat, you had to clean up after yourself right afterwards, then you had to go clean the dojo, then you had to do your workouts. I think the worst thing I hated doing was the running, but we had to get it done. Um, so it for me, it was a great experience. I definitely learned a lot. Phlex and I went to Costa Rica a couple months back for Riot Wrestling Alliance in Costa Rica. So I was able to reconnect with him after leaving there, and then we're working on a couple of things to connect again too. So, like I said, it was definitely a great experience for me. And I tell people all the time, it's what you make it. Everyone's experience is going to be a little bit different because I had goals going in. I wanted to be more proficient in the ring. I wanted to be able to move a little bit better in the ring. So that's definitely what I got out of it. And then the business side, I definitely got that as well. So I think I know what it takes to get that national contract that we've been trying to get for so long.
That is so awesome. So like how was it actually going down to like Costa Rica? And can you kind of like explain to us maybe like the differences in just the overall environment? Like did you kind of get like that like culture shock in a sense?
So I'm a military brat. I don't really get shocked by culture. Like, I go and experience everything, um, you know, for what it's worth. Definitely Spanish speaking. I'm just trying to working on my Spanish a little bit more because it is a Spanish speaking country. I even had one of the guys telling me, he's like, "You speak my language," but I speak your language. You speak my language, and I was like, "Okay, like I'll do my best." And I've started doing Duolingo and everything. I was doing it the whole time I was at the dojo, also trying to get my Spanish better. But when you don't use it, you lose it. But it was all love going out there. The people are super sweet and loving. There was a great experience. It was actually my second time going out there. Um, and there's some good workers out there, but it is lucha libre basically. So I love lucha libre. It's a great art form, but I tell you what, you want to flip around if you want to. Like I said, I went to the dojo to learn how to move a little bit better. So you flip if you want to, you're gonna get kicked in the teeth. But like I said, it was a great experience though.
That is so cool. So like you just brought up that it was actually like lucha libre. So like how was
Yeah.
it for you to be able to coordinate your moves and how you move in the ring with how they do it down there? How was that for you?
So I worked for a promotion in Portland called Portland Lucha Libre. So, and I did that for about a year. So I was able to see and study what kind of movements they do. So I was able to watch film on my opponent and see what they do well, and what their go-tos are, so I could like I said, adjust accordingly to whatever I needed to do. So good adjustment, yes, but they're a little bit quicker. Hence the fact I needed to get my cardio up a bit and be able to move a little bit better in the ring, because those guys move. And so but once I get my hands on them, it's a different story. You know, we have to use a little bit of strength and power as much as we can to keep them grounded.
Yeah, that is so awesome. So let's kind of start to talk about Oregon Pro Wrestling School. So when did you actually, like, I know you had brought up earlier that you had actually met Ricky Gibson a little bit early on. So, like, at what point was it that he said, like, I want you to be one of my trainers at my school?
So it was at the very beginning, actually. So COVID happened, and we wanted to wrestle. It's really all we want to do is just wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. And I was one of the trainers for Portland Lucha Libre. Mm-hmm. And we were in like this small little 1-car garage on wrestling mats wrestling. And so he contacted me because he and Eddie had been talking. And I think we did a pool match one time. You should check that out. I think it's still up somewhere. And he and Eddie had hit me up and said, hey, let's start a school. So he and Eddie put their money together, got the school, and brought me on. I was there day one of the school. I think the first person I saw there, we were setting up everything in the first building we were in, was Amira, was the first student that I met there. And man, that was 3 years ago now, I believe, about 4 years ago now. We went in from one building and then upgraded to another building the next year because we were growing so quickly.
Interesting. So, like, how was it like transitioning from one building to the other and being like, okay, so we need to take a break for a second until we can actually make this building the functionality that we want?
So if Eddie and I had it our way, we would have a pool table in there. We would have a ping pong table in there. The dream is a wrestling community. So everyone living in their own house and having it in one area. And, you know, Eddie and I were like, go big or go home, you know? So, but Ricky is definitely the business-minded one of us too, because we're like 2 feet in right now. So it was a good adjustment. We had enough students to where we could just move the building. It's in the same lot. So it was only about a block, not even a block, just a building over. I think there was a building in between the streets. So it was a good adjustment. We have a ring room, we have a mat room, we have weights and everything in there. We have a sauna in there. And we just adjusted. Just like the ring, wrestling is life. Like, so we have to adjust to what we needed to do. And it was a smooth transition.
Yeah.
And we love it. Like we were already like every year we wanted to get a bigger ring. Not bigger ring, but bigger building. But this one is doing what it needs to do right now.
Yeah, that is so awesome. So, like, how is it for you to be able to lead these up and coming talent and then have this kind of perspective on what you think professional wrestlers need to focus on? And then now you get to actually implement that into the new professional wrestlers going into the future.
Just like I tell from day one, wrestling is very subjective. You do what works best for you. You go in and you do the moves, you learn the moves, and you execute what you do well. So aside from that, just watch film is what I tell them. Watch film. Oh, excuse me. And do what you do well. Always train, practice. You talk about what I implement. Yes, I have my views on things, but I tell everyone since day one, do what works best for you. I have my views on things, but you have to do what works for you. And that's what I instill in the up and coming talent coming up around the area or anywhere I go.
Yeah. Yeah, I know when I was talking to Zay Perez, I was telling him about how in his My Story video there's this little clip of you like running up to somebody as you guys are doing the like high kicks, like up against the rope, you know, and like you like ran up to him, like told him to, like get it into position, you know. So like what is your expectations as far as your students go?
Never faster than perfect is my expectations. Do what you do well. Don't get in there and try something new that you can hurt yourself, not knowing that if you haven't practiced it. So I'm a bonehead, and I don't follow my rules at sometimes. I'm like, oh, let's go ahead and try this. And it's show day. But I'm like, oh, I've done it before. But if someone else hasn't, if I have a tag partner and we want to do something, if they haven't done it, it's like, oops, maybe we should have talked about this prior. But a lot of the times people just put people together so that you don't have a lot of chemistry, so you don't know what one person can do together. So that's that. So my expectations, never faster than perfect. There's not, to execute, keep your fundamentals down because it's second nature after you've drilled it.
Yeah. So like what is it kind of like looking back? Does it feel like really cool to know that like Ricky Gibson like trusts you as a pro to be able to carry out those students?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I said before, he took me underneath his wing. I think when I met him at WC, and I call him my Lord because he was the Rock, Ricky Gibson. So he had a shirt on his merchandise table for $100, and that really did intrigue me. And I was like, "You have one shirt for $100?" He was like, "Yeah, if I sell it, it's worth it." And I was like, "Yes, my Lord." So he knew I was getting a bum rap around the area, and when he, would talk to me about certain things, I would listen to it and I would implement it. And so when he gave me the chance at DOA, same thing. Whatever he was telling me, I would implement it. And I did what worked for me. And for him to trust me with the students, I can't say anything more to that. Is like, thank you. I wish I can be down there a little bit more. I'm actually in Washington right now, so to see the growth of the students is amazing. I call them my babies, is what I do. They're all my babies, and Ricky is the daddy. So no, I appreciate it. I've been able to take a back seat now that all the students are coming up. And if you know anything about the coaching method, you coach, you teach, you let them try it out, you do corrections, you let them try it out. Once they perfect it, guess what? You've created another coach. So a lot of the students are able to take over a class now and teach the fundamentals to the students. And when I tell you, it's great to see, especially seeing them in shows now and doing what they need to do. And it's just like, it's more rewarding than anything, because they actually taught me more as I was coaching. That's where I learned the most, was when I started coaching.
Yeah. So like if you have any like suggestions for any of the up and coming talent that is actually going to Oregon Pro Wrestling School right now that might see this, what would be your biggest suggestions to them to be able to get throughout the school?
Keep training. It's all about repetition. It's repetition. Even in the weight room, your conditioning, that is very important. I know when Ricky and I first started, I was all about like military training, where it was like, we're training. And he's like, this is a wrestling school. And I was like, I get it. So I would say you have to do it aside from the wrestling. I tell anyone, if you can't do 25 push-ups, how do you expect to go in there and muscle people around? You can't do it. You have to be strong enough to move people around. You have to be strong enough to pick yourself up when you're getting beat down. Even with the conditioning and the endurance, you have to go and you have to go run. Like, I hate running, but you know what? I have to do it in order to get in there, because what if I can't pin this person or I can't submit this person in a reasonable amount of time? My wind is going to give out and I'm not going to win the match. I mean, that's just how it is. So conditioning is important, strength is important, flexibility is important.
Yeah.
So just make sure that you're training and always listening and always getting the reps in.
That is so interesting. So, like, do you mind, like, me asking, like, what exactly did you do in the military and which branch were you in?
I was in the Navy. I was a construction man, so I was a CB. That's was I'm a little carpenter, if you know me. I can build a house, I can build a bridge, I can do repairs, I can build a business. So that's that's what I did. We worked side and side with the Marines. If they needed something built, they would go and do recon, and they would call us in, and we would build them either a base or a bridge if they needed to cross that. But we were fighting also. We're fighting CVs, so we did combat and everything as well. So I didn't do the ship thing. We're shipmates first. However, as CVs, we don't have to go aboard unless we're attached to a Marine unit.
That's very, very interesting, man. Well, thank you for your service, by the way. Like, thank
Uh,
you.
no worries.
All right. Well, so, like, when was your first ever professional wrestling championship? And was like, did you feel like that sense of pride when you were actually able to win your first ever championship in pro wrestling?
Well, absolutely. Once you win your first one, you know that, hey, all the hard work's finally paying off. But the first time I ever had one, I think it was Northwest Wrestling Alliance. It's a tag team champion, and that was my first. And I was always in a tag team throughout the years. But my first individual was the Pure Championship at DOA off of Sonico. So it was once again, it was an experience, because it was just like, oh, finally, now I can go on and I can defend this thing and maybe tour around. That was my whole thing. It was like I wanted to tour around with the belt and represent the company that I was with. But it
Yeah.
was definitely an accomplishment, and that was the first one. And there are definitely about to be many more here pretty soon.
That is so awesome. I know I wanted to talk to you about the ASW open weight tourney, and you were actually announced as number 12. And so, like, what can we expect from you when it actually comes to you performing in that tournament?
So it's that tournament's already happened.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. No.
Yes, it's already happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that tournament, I did not win it, but I'm okay with that, because I lost to Leo, who turned out to be the champion, and he wasted everyone else after me. But like I said, you come across me, I'm going to be a problem. And I got a little sidetracked by messing with the crowd out there, because I'm not booed. And it didn't feel right. And I understand I was in Canada, but I was being booed, and I didn't like that very much, because you don't know who I am, and I'm coming out here to win this, and you're booing me. But I guess he was their favorite, and like I said, he had to go the distance with me, and like I said, he ran through everyone else. So it was like, you know what? I'll be back. I'll definitely be back.
Yeah. So, like, were you ever able to actually communicate with Paul London backstage?
No, he was doing his thing, getting dressed and everything, so I didn't really get to talk to him that much.
Yeah.
And I think I went over to sell some merch while he was um, getting warmed up and everything. So, and I don't like to bother people too much when they're, you know, getting their mind frame for their match and everything. So I just let them do their thing. It was always like, hello, bye, as we were passing by.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I know one thing I wanted to bring up to you was PAL Pro Wrestling and your rivalry with Alexander Hammerstone. Like I've seen you go through like multiple matches with him throughout the years, or at least what has been uploaded by PAL Pro Wrestling. So how is it working with him in the ring?
He's a formidable opponent, I tell you that. I definitely wanted to finish the story, no pun intended, with him, but I know he signed with who's he? He's got signed with Impact, I believe. So I don't know if he's going to come back. Hey, I can get signed to Impact, and we can definitely continue it there. But he's a strong dude. He really is. I remember one time he was working out when we were at WC, and he's working out. And I was like, oh, that dude's pretty strong because he's doing freaking 75 pounds shoulder presses for volume. And I was like, yikes. So he's like, come on, jump in. And I'm sitting over there, and I'm getting it done, but I don't know. I'm not keeping it. I'm not going to keep up with him endurance wise because this guy, he's a beast. So getting in there trying to move him around was definitely a challenge. But we definitely matched power for power. But he did give me some good advice one time. He's like, bro, you're already strong. Anywhere you go, you're going to be the strongest in the locker room. You definitely need to work on your endurance. And I was like, cool, bro. Yeah, I'm a power lifter, world record holder. I'm going to continue to power lift, but I'll definitely up my endurance. But no, like I said, and that's what I did because that's basically how he beat me because I burnt out. I couldn't hold up anymore. Definitely holding my breath and everything, not learning how to take my proper breaths.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a good dude.
That's very, very interesting. So let's talk about SOS Pro Wrestling. And when I went onto YouTube and I was looking up all of your footage, you have like a lot of matches that are uploaded when you're performing at SOS. So is there anything that you actually really enjoy about performing for that company?
So like anything, I go to compete, right? And that's anywhere I go. And Tacoma is home. So that's why it feels good. You know, I did my junior high school up here in Tacoma. So it's definitely a different energy as I come out here to the island. And they definitely taken a liking to me. Like I said, I don't get booed wherever I go. So they are definitely hot when I enter. I know my return from New Zealand, it was definitely a surprise. And I didn't get the job done when it came to getting the title from Randers. But like I said, it is definitely experience because I definitely started to lock in when I was there. I'm saying I'm a lot, ain't I? But it is fun, it is competitive, and it is home. So I've enjoyed watching the company grow. I've enjoyed watching the crowd grow. I've enjoyed them chanting Phlex when I walk out there, and it is definitely a blessing, and it's love. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually wanted to talk to you about your match with Tio-Matic. And when you were actually making your entrance, there was this big old like thing on the wall that said like hold on one second. Like do you feel? And then like I said, do you feel? So like who actually came up with that whole saying so that you could put it on the wall and then make your entrance?
I'm my own creator. That was definitely me. I definitely had King Naja put it on there for me. He did the whole thing for me, but it was definitely my idea because you're either with me or you're not. You know, so do you feel me? That period point blank. That's just who I am right now. It's you, who you with. You with Phlex or you're not. And they definitely feel me when I come out there. And so that's what it is. You either feel what I'm doing or you're not.
Mhm.
If you're hating on it, oh well, I'm going to continue doing what I do. I know I tell people I'm the most sizzling, loving, unforgettable talent in the world. I'm not saying I'm the best. I know I'm sizzling. I'm a good talent, and people are going to remember me when they leave there. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, like, how was it for you actually making that entrance and then having like the whole crowd pop as soon as you actually came out the curtain?
Yeah, because they had no idea who it was coming out, because it was like a rebirth, you know, and it felt amazing because here I've been gone for the last 8 months. Are they going to remember? Are they going to remember me? Because
Yeah.
there was nothing keeping me on their minds. But once they saw me, because they were like, what's going on here? Because what I did was a mix of my old songs and had it mixed to what I was coming out to next. And when they saw me, they felt me. And that's the whole thing, because I want them to feel what I'm going through, because I am them in the ring when I'm in there. So that was that. But yeah, it was an outstanding feeling, definitely, because it was like, whoo, goosebumps. And that's what I enjoy about it, because obviously I've done what I needed to do for them to feel me.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we actually continue on with that match, because there are a couple questions or a couple more questions that I have for you on that. What is the one thing about professional wrestling that you enjoy the most?
The most, the competition, but if I had to say anything, it's definitely the crowd, because they are why we are there. I am trying to put butts in seats so that they come and see the sizzling one, and so it's definitely the crowd, because that energy. It's like when I played football, it's not the same. You can wrestle. Not wrestle, but you can play football in a stadium full of people. You make a play in that roar, and it's like nice when you break one, or you may hit a big hit, and it's that ooh. But to be able to take them on that roller coaster, and if they're not feeling you, they'll let you know, and that's what I definitely appreciate about it. But it's definitely the crowds. Love the Flexaholics, baby. They get crazy.
Yeah. So who came up with um not in sex appeal but flex appeal?
Oh, I am my creator. I'm telling you everything. And
Okay.
so I slow drip everything for people, because I want to know if they're going to like it or not. So I slow drip it, because that's why I spell flex the way I do. It's pretty hot, pretty hot. And then flex is, flexing on someone if they're coming at me incorrectly, or I'm flexing my muscles. And the flex came from Hulk Hogan flexing his muscles, right? And he was always flexing. So that was that. And The Rock was Flex Cabana. Um, but Flex is the brand. It's not who the person is. It's just the brand. And I always tell people I'm Flex, and I'm Flex if you're nasty. Um, so, and that's where I get the sizzling from. You know what I mean? Like, I know people think I'm attractive, so I definitely play on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So like whenever you're performing at SOS, do they have like live commentary going over the crowd?
Yes, they
So
do.
like how is that for you, like actually performing in the ring? Is that ever like more of a distraction as compared to them not having commentary?
No, I really can't hear anything until I hear the roar of the crowd,
Mhm.
because I am focused in on my opponent for the most part.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do get distracted because I'm like, oh, what's going on? Um, but I have tunnel vision, so I'm legally blind. I don't know, a lot of people don't know that, but I do have to wear contacts in order to see things. And it is a struggle at times. And sometimes it interferes because I have to sit here and squint, especially when it's the bright lights. But sound doesn't really mess with me too much because I'm always like zeroed into whoever I need to see. Because if I take one look away and I come back, it takes time for my eyes to adjust. And so I have to stay zeroed in. There are some times I think there was like once or twice where they would say something and I look back, but like I'm focused on my breath. I'm focused on what's happening in our match for the most part. I'm worried about if the referee is going to get in the way. So no, it is definitely a bonus, but because they're interacting with the crowd, so I don't have to, I'm focused on winning, I'm trying to get this money.
Yeah. There was another segment of that match that I wanted to talk to you about, and it was him always putting you into the crossface. So is there like a specific submission move that you like to be put in, or you like to put other people in?
I don't like to be put in anything. I'm trying to win. What are you talking about over here? No, I mean that's I guess that's what he's learning how to do at Buddy Wayne's school, and they're doing a good job of training him. He's going to be a nice talent here in the near future. But do I like to be put into something? No. I mean, if we're talking about the Sizzle Club, there's the cowgirl. If we're talking about positions, yeah, I like to be put in certain positions, but that's not in the ring. You know what I mean? We got my good girls over here talking about what they like and what I like. So I mean, no, not in the ring. I'm trying to win. I don't want to be put in anything.
Yeah. Interesting. So like, how have you actually been able to implement your back training, whether it be mat or military, into professional wrestling? Like, how have you been able to implement both?
How have I been able to military training, that just comes with repetition, right? So you have to be detailed when you're doing things. So it all coincides with each other because you have to study film. You have to rep and be able to adjust to positions that they may put you in to know how to reverse those things. And if you miss a step in that, you may have a lopsided building, or you may get submitted because they sink it in deeper. So definitely detail oriented when you talk about implementing my background. My explosion from football is definitely, I use that because I try to be explosive and to be the exclamation point mark in the ring. So that's how I implement that. It's just detail. Pay attention to detail.
Yeah. That's really, really interesting. So one thing, okay, so I found this like really, really interesting is I was sitting here wondering, like, if a professional wrestler were to ever run out of breath, as you're sitting there training people, how do you kind of explain to them the importance of endurance? Because I feel like if a professional wrestler like runs out of breath, the danger kind of increases because maybe, you know what I mean? Like you get tired, so then like you can't perform as much. So endurance is really, really important. So how do you explain that to your students?
So just like I would do to my when I was personal training,
Yeah.
breaths are important. Each exercise, every movement you do has its own breath. So if you're running really fast, it's more. If you're running at a pace, long distances, right? And you'll start to feel like a calm over you. Even when you're lifting, if I'm doing a push, it's even if I'm pulling, it's as you're relaxing. So when you're in the ring, you have to learn how to breathe through your nose and out through your mouth.
Yeah.
So it's very important because you'll feel that calm come over you, and you're not go all the time. You're able to take a breath, and if you need to grab on to hold on to someone because they're just out wrestling you or muscling you around, you have to be able to breathe, because if you don't, you start to lose focus, and if you lose focus, you lose the match, or the other person loses the match. So that's why it's very important, because you're not going to be able to function. Let's say you need to pick someone up and you don't take the right breath, they're going to fall on you, or you're going to hurt something. So that's why it's very important to have good endurance. I know there was a couple times that I've done that with a bigger guy where it was just like I just couldn't focus on what I was doing, and I'm trying to pick him up in that last ditch effort, and I just couldn't do it. And they end up winning. So that's why it's very important to have that endurance. It's one, just for safety for you in the ring, so that you don't get hurt or injured.
Yeah, that is so interesting. Well, one fun thing that I wanted to bring up to you was why unfrosted Pop Tarts and cheese?
Have you not tried them? Specifically, the cherry flavor. That is, I'm trying to tell you, I don't do it so much now, or I haven't done it in years, but come on. I mean, if you try it, And I really want to try it now with the air fryer, now that that's been invented. But we used to do it when I was a kid. So we wanted the cherry Pop Tarts with the frosting, and we told our mom to go out to get those when she was going grocery shopping, and she came back with the ones with the holes in it. We're like, we wanted the frosting on it, Mom. You should see, if you don't sit your little entitled selves down, you better be glad you got that. And then we hear the whole story. If it didn't have milk with cereal when she was growing up, you had to use water and everything, blase, blase. But that's what you get as a military brat. We were definitely entitled. So we were like, fine, because we're used to and we're programmed to having the frosting over it. So we put a slice of cheese on there, and we put it. We toasted it, put a slice of cheese on there, and nuke it for like 10 seconds in the microwave. Ooh wee gooey! Let me tell you, if you haven't tried it, try it.
Oh, that is so awesome. So like let's kind of start to talk about you like working out. So like what is your like max bench? Cuz you're pretty jacked.
Yeah, I'm big fat. I'm working on trimming up right now. I know Fale's son was like, "No, don't worry about that. That's what they like. They want to see you." And I was like, "Yeah, but I got dad bod right now." He's like, "No, you keep that. They like that." And I was like, "All right, cool. Like, whatever. I guess I'll keep it." So I'm doing a lot of heavy weights right now in volume. I do have a world record in bench and deadlifts uh, out in Portland. I did that. But the most I've ever benched, and this is not on record, but the most I've ever benched in training is like 615. It is the most I've ever done. I definitely train up to about 450, and I'll do like 1 or 2 reps above that at like 515, 530. And so right now I've gone back down to the ground floor, and I'm working on volume right now. So I work at my rep ranges at like I stop at like 420 right now because I'm trying to do volume. I want to be able to, I don't want to just do 5 or 6 at that right now. So I've scaled down, and I'm repping out, and I'm trying to do 15, 20. The most I've ever done like 225 rep wise is like 28. So I want to be able to get that up to like 40 and everything, because then I'll be able to pump out the 615 more than once and all that. I'm trying to get up to like a 720.
Wow.
And you do that with incline. So incline is where you get stronger. Bench is definitely an ego lift, but that's what everyone does. But if you train, excuse me, incline, your bench will definitely increase. So I do an incline. I freaking failed today, but I definitely learned at like 245. I'm just trying to rep that out for, I think it was 8 after doing it 12. Then my set range was 12, 12, 10, 10, and then 8 and 8. So 6 sets, but it still had chest and decline and dumbbells to do and cables to do, and then I'm doing arms with it, supersetting. So it's not that I can't do the volume. What it is I'm supersetting, so I'm fatiguing my body a little bit quicker. So I stress it out so that it recovers a little bit quicker. So that if I am doing one max rep, it knows, oh, we can do this. So that's what I'm doing right now, is building that back up, because I got out of powerlifting for about 5 years now, so I haven't done anything over 420.
Yeah. So, like, what kind of advice would you give to maybe the students right now, or maybe anybody who wants to become a student on getting that repetition? What would be your advice to them?
Start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. It's
Yeah.
either day one or one day. So you have to start somewhere. And like we were talking about earlier, you have to do what works best for you. So I can give you a workout, but if you're not going to stay consistent with it, then it's not going to work for you, right?
Yeah.
So you have to start somewhere. You have to journal. You have to write down what you can do. You have to write down your failures, because your failures are your lessons. How do you need to adjust? Do you need to adjust your form? Do you need to adjust how fast you're coming down or how fast you're pushing up? So you have to start. That is the key. It's just starting.
Yeah. That's very, very interesting. Well, thank you for that. So what can we actually expect from the future when it comes to Malcolm Flex? Like, what is your plans going throughout this year, or maybe going into next year?
Our plans are to travel a little bit more in the future. So I've been reaching out to promoters and bookers around the country, even internationally. I am trying to get a contract with a major company, either New Japan, MLW, Impact, or AEW, for that matter. Just started a new app, but we're building it and creating it. It's called WhomChat, WHOM.com, or chat, CHAT.com. It is a new social media app that I got with a couple of buddies, and we're building that right now. It's going to be awesome, because I was talking to them about like an easier way to create videos and everything. So it's going to be kind of like Canvas in there also. So it's going to be great. It's going to blow up. So it's called WhomChat, and it's working out getting my body right now. I definitely want to get the chiseled look. See Hammerstone out there just as chiseled and jacked as it is, and he's definitely inspired me to get in there and eat right, because you cannot outwork a shitty diet. I'm going to let you know it right now. The diet is 95% of it, if not 98, because I can go on lift everything and get big, but there's no definition whatsoever. And I was talking to a buddy of mine. I was like, I want a 6-pack. No, I want an 8-pack. And he's like, they don't care about that. And I was like, but they do. But they do. And like I said, I'm definitely getting in shape to where I can perform with the best, and win a couple titles on the way. So that's definitely what you can expect.
That is so awesome. So, as like a final question for you before we actually end up closing everything out, is like, how much does professional wrestling mean to you, from being a fan to becoming a professional wrestler to now being able to implement your knowledge as a trainer? How much does that mean to you personally?
Wrestling is life. Everywhere I look is pro wrestling. From the conversations I'm having on the street to how I live my life. I mean, I still get up in the morning and make my bed and fix my food and go to the gym, and then I go to the gym later on too. So it's life. Everywhere I look, I watch TV, and I watch a show, and I'm like, I can pick out what's going to happen, because I'm so programmed now.
Yeah.
As far as the students and everything, it's all rewarding. Everything, it's all rewarding. I would not have been able to be a stunt coordinator for a play down in Portland, or even a movie, if it wasn't for pro wrestling. I would have never traveled and been able to mark off my bucket list wrestling in Australia, or even being in Australia for that matter, if it hadn't come from pro wrestling. And you all hear all the time, like, pro wrestling doesn't owe you anything, but it's given me so much, and I'm very grateful for that. And hopefully we go off and we do more together because wrestling is definitely my good girl. Oh, she's such a good girl. Yes. Yes. And when I say sizzling, loving, unforgettable talent, that's who I'm paying tribute to, is like pro wrestling. Like I love it so much because it's afforded me so much in the last 12 years. It really has. So when I come out and I'm blowing kisses like I'm just in awe that I'm even here and still being able to do it, and never had any serious injuries or anything. um you know what, I haven't injured anybody. I need to put that on my list too. Maybe I need to start putting people in holds like you say. No, but no, it has been very rewarding. It really has. Like I can't thank it enough. And it isn't for everyone, but it's for everyone, if that makes any sense. Because like I said, it is life. It is all around you. You have no idea. So yeah.
That is so freaking awesome, man. Well, I cannot thank you enough for actually being able to like sit down with me and actually take time out of your day for me to just go through these questions. Like it means so much to me. So thank you.
No, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Whenever I have the opportunity to come and sit down and to people about wrestling on podcasts, I definitely do it. Even you, even taking the time to invite me. You know what I mean? I always say that I'm a nobody, but I'm everything. But I'm humble enough to know that there's people out there that do like what I do, and I really do appreciate you, and I wish you the best on your podcast, and hopefully a bunch of people go and see this, and you blow up.
Well, thank you very, very much, man. And I cannot wait until one day where I can actually meet you. And I hope you have a very, very good night, man.
Oh, you as well. Thank you so much. And where are you located?
Monmouth.
Monmouth. Well,
Yeah, so like Independence, yeah.
bring your butt on to Portland then. We'll be in Eugene at POW Pro Wrestling on the 15th in Eugene. So maybe we'll see you out there.
All right, man. Well, I hope you have a very, very good night, and I'll catch you later.
Deuces.
Well, all right, you guys. So that was Interesting's podcast interview with Malcolm Phlex. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.